Stop playing the victim. Stop playing the victim. That is something I had to tell myself over and over again as I was going through the healing process and dealing with all the after emotions of my divorce. As I have explained to you guys already, I was very shocked that my husband left me. I couldn't understand for the life of me why this man would have left me after almost 20 years of marriage. And some of the beginning emotions, of course, were, I can't believe he did this to me. Why did he do this to me? What did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong. And then when I'm talking to friends and family, of course, they support me and love me, and I'm so thankful for that. However, they also think I did nothing wrong because they're in my corner. So I learned that did not help. If you don't realize that you had a part in your marriage not working out as you thought it would, if you don't realize that, then you are still in victim mode. And victim mode does not serve you. At this point, you're divorced or you're getting a divorce. It doesn't matter about the other person anymore. What matters is you becoming the best, better, ultimate, highest version of yourself. And if you are in victim mode, you cannot do that because you're still blaming someone else instead of taking accountability for your parts in the matter. It is so hard to move out of the victim stage through this process. It's so difficult because you're hurt already. Your ego's attacked. Everything you envisioned for your future ideal world is shattered. Especially if you're the person that was left, like me, you were shocked. You weren't expecting this. And so it's very difficult. The pain, the hurt is real. And so you have to sit with that pain, those feelings, work through some of those. So if you're still in victim stage, give yourself some grace, but start crawling your way out of it because it doesn't serve you. At this point, to get out of victim stage, you do have to take a very hard look in the mirror and figure out what your fault was, what you can do better that will make you a better person for yourself or for the next relationship you want to be in. And this is so hard. You have to look in the mirror and ask yourself some really hard fucking questions. It's not easy. The answers are difficult because you know you are lying. If you lie to yourself, you know the truth. So asking yourself what part you had in this is very important. And be honest with yourself because that's where the growth happens. And it's not, once you start doing this, once you do it once you're honest with yourself, you ask yourself a hard question, you're honest with yourself, you take that extreme accountability for something that you could have done better or you did wrong in the relationship that caused it to get this way, that gives you a path of how to make yourself better. That gives you a character trait, a character flaw, a personality trait to improve on. And when you do that, you are getting better and that will benefit you. It doesn't matter about the other person anymore. That's over. That person is no longer in your life. That relationship is no longer serving you. That energy no more deserves your attention. That you cannot put your energy in that place any longer. You have to put all of your energy in yourself to heal and to become the best version of yourself. So once you move out of that victim state, your mind is more clear. You have more time to focus now on yourself, which is your true priority. If you are not the best version of yourself, you are not good for anyone else. You have to take care of yourself first. So moving from that victim state and moving into an accountability state where you are honest about your responsibility, your accountability, you take ownership in what you did wrong in the marriage, you start accepting those hard truths and start working on yourself, that is when you can move from the victim state into a more progress-oriented state, such as holding yourself accountable. It's so important. So I asked myself some hard questions and gave myself some hard truths. And it was not easy, and it did not sit well with my ego, and it did not sit well with my insecurities, and it didn't feel good, okay? It didn't feel good. But one issue is I realized I was very insecure. Another issue, I realized that I was pretty controlling. I would ask myself, why did my marriage not work? What was my part in this? What was my fault in the marriage not staying together? And I did realize I was pretty controlling in our life. So I really analyzed that and looked back on that. And I had to accept I was overly controlling and unreasonable in some ways. When I really dove into that, I had to give myself some grace because I had a disabled child that required 24/7 care. I also worked. I was a mother to another child. I was a daughter, a sister, a friend, an employee. So I controlled what I could so that we could survive. My child was very involving. My disabled child was very involving. And it was very difficult to make it through the day to day. I don't know how I did it looking back. But that really did cause me to be more controlling. It really did cause me to control everything I could to an unreasonable level, out of fear, out of anxiety of what might happen with my disabled child that I couldn't control. And so I had to give myself grace for why I was so controlling. But I've also worked through that and have really relinquished a lot of my control issues. Of course, I still run a company, and so there's times and space that it's appropriate, right? But I had to work through that and grow through that and figure out which parts of me were being unreasonably controlling and which parts that still served me. So I had to really analyze that. And then I had to decide what parts of that I wanted to keep and what parts I wanted to improve on. Another issue I had was I had some major insecurities, and I didn't know. I didn't know that. So I had to kind of go through each of those insecurities that I truly asked myself questions about, held myself accountable to, and then gave myself the hard truths and worked through those. So holding yourself accountable to your fault in the marriage not working is very important. That is how you get out of victim state. It's not someone else's fault. It isn't all their fault. I'm sure there's some few cases where one of the whoever wants the divorce or caused the divorce, like they are a horrible person, they are a bad person. I know that's the case. But most of the cases, guys, if you cannot find fault in both of the individuals, then you're not being honest with yourself and you're still in the victim state. Because there's something you could have done better. There's something you could have worked on, even if it's communication, even if it was expressing how you were feeling, even if it was mentioning when you started seeing the issue and instead of pulling away, you interacted more or tried to do something about it. There's something in it that is your responsibility to take accountability for. And when you start doing that, it feels amazing because you feel the growth, you feel the improvement, you feel yourself ascending into a higher level of awareness that serves you well in all aspects of your life. Please ask yourself these hard questions. Give yourself the hard truths and use that as fuel to make yourself better. Your friends and family, they love you. And they're not lying to you when they tell you all the good things about you. But they don't truly know what happened in your marriage. Only you and your partner do. And so it's very important to be careful how much you vent to your friends and family if you realize you're in the victim stage, because they are going to feed into that egotistical state that nothing was your fault. But they don't have all the information. Of course they don't. So they're trying to help you, but it doesn't help, because what helps you is moving past this victim state and moving into accountability and then working on improving whatever you find that you want to improve on. and then moving up to the best version of yourself. And the longer you stay in victim state, in the victim stage, the longer it takes you to heal and get through the process. You have to go through it. You can't go around it. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. I've tried every way. It doesn't work. You have to go through it. You have to go straight through it. And you can't do that if you find no fault in yourself. You can't do that if you're listening to everyone who loves you and says you're perfect and you're wonderful and it's his fault. That's not true. You have fault in it. I'm telling you this because I want you to move through it. I'm telling you this because it doesn't matter about that other person anymore. It matters about you. And you deserve to move through this process. Through it. Don't go around it. Don't blame someone else. Don't find how they were at fault. You are at fault for something. And until you take true accountability and move through it, you're not going to move on. And you deserve to move on because there is happiness on the other side. Even if it's just you. There's happiness on the other side. But the only way to get there is through it. Your friends and families love you, support you, and you need that. But you don't need someone feeding you more information that isn't 100% accurate and truthful that keeps you in the victim stage. You don't need that. That does not serve you well. This is about serving you well. And there is a period where we hate that guy and he's a piece of shit and he did all these things. And there's a time for that, and that's fine. And let's listen to some revenge songs and let's move past it, okay? So that you can get on to the rest of your beautiful life. And you can't do that until you take some accountability for your part in it. It's hard. I know. It's so hard, okay? It's so hard. And know that there's a lot of us that have gone through this. We know how hard it is, and we are feeling for you, including myself, especially myself. It's hard. Just like your friends and family, I don't know the issues that you have in your marriage either that were your fault. Let me give you an easy one you can start with though. Communication. It's a big issue, right? Communication is a huge issue. But communication is a good topic to start with because you have to communicate with everyone. And regardless of how well you think you communicated in your relationship, you could have possibly communicated how you were feeling much sooner. You could have communicated what was lacking in your marriage more clearly, more often, more sooner. So communication is a good one to start with admitting to how you could have communicated better, and then working on that and working on your communication skills, whether that's through self-help books, podcasts, practice, because that will help you in every aspect of your life. That will help with your employers, your friends, your children, your family. That will help with the next time that if and when you decide you want to date or take another partner, then that will help serve you in every aspect of your life. So communication is a good one to start on because we can all communicate better or differently or understand how someone else communicates. And then that will help us in every part of our life. So that's a freebie I'm going to give you. That's an easy one to start with, an easier one to start with, because that will serve you in all aspects of your life. The main point I want you to take away from this video is that you deserve to move through this pain, move through this situation. You deserve that. And you cannot do that if you stay in the victim stage. That doesn't serve you. We want you to move through this process. I want to help you awaken within. Even though you felt broken, even though you are hurt, even though you couldn't believe this, even though you can't imagine what your life is going to look like on the other side, I promise you, when you move through this situation and you take accountability and improve yourself based on what you find out through taking accountability and you work on yourself, you will find happiness on the other side. Because if nothing else, you will be happy with yourself. You got this. I find myself hoping I am the problem for all of the situations that come up. Because if I'm the problem, I now have complete confidence that I will also be the solution or find the solution. Going through my divorce and taking accountability for my parts of that helped me realize that, hey, when I'm the problem, that's good news because I can do something about that. If someone else is the problem, that makes it more difficult because I can't control or do anything with them. I can't make them act different, feel different, think different, understand differently. I can't do any of that. So this was a really amazing lesson I learned that helped me in all other aspects of my life. When I was learning how to move out of the victim stage and I got addicted to taking accountability for my own actions, starting with what led to my divorce, I now apply that throughout all aspects of my life. And that's how I know when I have a really big problem, is when I can't do something about it. When I can't find my fault in the issue and then analyze that, figure out what I can do differently or better or change about myself or a procedure, for example, and then implement that and do that. If I can't do that because it's not about me, then that tells me it's a big problem because I can't change someone else. I can't make them think, act, understand, feel differently. So once you get great at asking yourself these hard questions and then delivering the hard truths to yourself, it's like a superpower. When you can figure out how you are the problem and fix that, you can do anything. You can't control someone else. So in that situation, the best thing you might have to do is eliminate that person who is affecting your inner peace, and you can't do anything about that. But if it's about you, if you can find where the problem lies within you, you can fix that. And that significantly increases the value of your life, the happiness of your life, the productivity of your life. It increases your inner peace because it gives you that power of knowing. It's like having this special superpower where if there's a problem, you can ask yourself the hard questions, give yourself the hard truths, and then you can fix it. And that gives you this confidence knowing if I was able to find resolution and why my marriage didn't work and how that was my fault and then what I could do about that to fix myself for the future so that I am my happiest, best version of myself. And now I can apply that same concept to other aspects of my life. It makes your entire life much more peaceful, much more happier, and you're much more confident going through life. But you have to go through the victim stage first. You have to get out of that. You have to say, this isn't only someone else's fault. This is also my fault. What can I do about that? If I'm the problem, and I am, how can I fix it and not be the problem anymore? Taking accountability is so hard. You have to take a hard look in the mirror. It's not easy, but it's worth it. It's not easy, but you gotta do it. It's not easy, but it's a requirement. I had so much trouble with this. I had so much trouble with owning up to my faults. Please start somewhere trying to figure out how this has something to do with you, how this is your fault. Because once you start taking accountability, it's addictive. And you can fix so much about yourself and about your life. And then you are on your path to inner peace and the best, happiest version of yourself, which is what you deserve. And that is what you're after. And I want to help you awaken within to find that, because I found it, I cherish it, and I want you to get through this difficult time as well. I was so good at playing the victim. It is crazy in hindsight how good I was at playing the victim. Nothing was my fault. Nothing. How is that possible? Get real. So much is my fault, especially when it came to my marriage. But that was a very hard realization to accept. Now, look at my face. I'm glowing. I'm happy because that was really hard work to be able to say that, to see that, to understand that, to say that, not to someone else, to myself. I have, of course, talked to my ex-husband and taken accountability for my parts in the marriage that didn't work 100%. And that felt great. But what really feels great is admitting it to myself and knowing that I'm strong enough to be truthful to myself. That is the kind of the hidden piece of accountability. You know if you're lying to yourself. And when you are truly honest with yourself, it hurts. You get this pain right here in your chest, like a beam of pain just going right there because you know, and it's shooting through your body. You feel it. You're having to surrender to the truth. You're having to surrender to accountability and how you are at fault and what you did wrong. But that is where growth happens. That is how you find your way to inner peace, by facing those hard truths and facing and feeling that hard pain. Taking accountability is not easy, but it's the most important part of growth. It's a very important part of moving through the healing process, moving through the healing of a divorce and making it on the other side. It's beautiful when you make it there. You can't get there if you are still blaming the other person for everything. I want you to get to the other side. I want you to get to the point to where you're not divorced. You're happily single. You are happily moving through this life with inner peace on your own with your friends and family, open to the next best relationship, open to the next great relationship in your life, but you're perfectly fine because you've made it to the other side. You've made it through the pain that comes with a divorce. It hurts, guys. It's painful, but man, it's worth it when you make it through the other side. So let's do that. Let's move out of victim stage and let's move into accountability stage. Let's move into the stage where you are owning up to your faults in all of this so that you can move on, so that you can heal and you can become the best version of yourself.